By the time he dropped me off at the airport, I had both seen his world through the eyes of faith and made a new friend. I wish Jake could drive you through his Louisiana diocese, but this book is the next best option. In Looking for God in Messy Places, he will take you through the working-class American South to Nazi Germany and all manner of everyday places where hope arises in the most unlikely and despairing circumstances. And although he writes of faith and philosophical ideas, his itinerary is neither churchy nor academic. Instead, he invites you to join him on a journey through the landscape of God. By the time you wend through these chapters, you will see what he sees, the world nested with love, the very nidus of hope. And trust me, you will have made a new friend. Diana Butler Bass. Introduction. If love is greater than hope, as Paul says it is, this may be true in part because love is prior to hope, a condition of it. Marilynne Robinson, What Are We Doing Here? Essays. These days, Anne Lamott may be an accomplished skier, but a few years ago she would warm up with the beginners for a while and then stick with the easiest intermediate slope. Once, after several goes on her usual course, she hopped on the chairlift for yet another run and grew momentarily confused. The jump-off looked unfamiliar, and before she realized that it was indeed the correct one, Anne found herself 5 or so feet above the ground, heading toward a more difficult trail. She dove from the moving chair, not with a confident James Bond-like leap. It was more of a tumble that ended with a crash landing. Most of her fellow skiers pretended not to have seen what happened. She waved off the few sympathetic witnesses who offered to help, acting as if this is just the sort of quirky thing she does. And then the nausea hit. On the verge of passing out, she asked Jesus for help. She writes, "I don't know how long I stood there with my hand clamped to my mouth, only my poles and a frayed consignment store faith to support me. All I knew was that help is always on the way, 100% of the time. I know that when I call out, God will be near and hear and help eventually." Of course, it is the eventually that throws one into despair. This is a book for those of us who are feeling the weight of that eventually, for those whose struggles have been long, and for those who are growing weary from heavy burdens, for those facing an unforeseen crisis, or those enduring a slow personal train wreck, for those whose throats have grown raw from crying for justice, and for those whose wounds have gone unhealed. This is a book about hope, and I have written it especially for those who refuse to yield to discouragement and despair. I follow Jesus, so anything I say about hope ends up pointing in his direction, in some unexpected ways. So let me admit from the start that many of the typical reasons Christians give for having hope don't work for me, something we will be exploring throughout this book. Some of us derive our hope from the doctrines of the resurrection and the second coming. In the next life, we will be free from the sorrow, pain, and strife of this one. We will be reunited with those we love and reconciled to everyone. God will set all things right. The wolf will lie down with the lamb. There will be perfect justice and perpetual peace. I believe in life after life, in the resurrection of the body, and I believe that God is at work restoring the entire creation to a wholeness that exceeds even my wildest imaginings. Yet my assent to these doctrines is not what gives me hope. Hope is something more, something deeper and more abiding. Hope is what keeps us going when the odds just don't seem to be in our favor. The setbacks are piling up, but still we get out of bed morning after morning. That's hope. We keep swimming even though the tide is against us. Hope tells us it's worth it. Doctrines don't do this, at least not for me, but God does.